Today we'll be starting with the next exercise, which is the squirrel jump. Okay. Hello, Panraj. Hello, everyone. So we'll be starting with the squirrel jump. So this will be very different from what we've been doing till now because we just worked with very simple character, like a ball. Now, the character that we'll use will be similar to a ball, but it will have more controls to work with. Okay. So let's import that. Give me a minute. So this is a very popular character. Lots of people use this. Okay. So I will be creating a reference and not importing it traditionally. So now it has been referenced, just like how we did with the ball. Same way. Whatever rig you will be working with, always just import. In some people's Maya, some of them had issues with referencing. So it's fine. If it works for you, then it's okay. If you run into problems, you can then just import and not reference. Okay. So you can see how this character is. It's like a squirrel, but also kind of like a ball. So this is a step ahead from what we've been working with. It has very similar controls. You can see we have one in the center, two at the top and bottom. And if I move them, you can see we have the same squash and stretch control. Same thing for the bottom. Since it's a squirrel, we also have like the top head controller, a mouth control. We also have one for the mouth corners, and we have the ear controllers and also the tail. Okay, so we'll be doing the tail animation as well, but initially we won't be doing that. First, we will just do the bounce, like the landing of the squirrel, and then after that, once we're done with it completely, then we will start with the tail. Okay. Best thing is that if you select the controller, you have the option of hiding the tail. So you can see if you go on the side, you can see tail visibility option. So it is on right now. You can just turn it off and then you can just focus on your character. Okay. So you can see for the normal Maya scene, which is in centimeters settings, this character is quite large. Okay. So problem with this is like if you scale the character, it's not a problem. But if you want to scale it, like if you scale it up, it's not a problem. But if you want to scale it down, a slight issue happens. Like nothing happens to the rig, but some areas look weird. The areas which look weird are basically the teeth. Okay. Right now it looks fine. But if I try to change the scale and make it smaller, see what will happen. So I'll go to the master scale here and I will press Control left mouse button and I will scale it down. You can see the shape of the teeth changed. It's not a really big problem, but if that bothers you, what you can do instead is like if you want to keep this intact shape, you can definitely work like this. But then you can see it covers the full grid, right? Usually we want our main objects or main characters to be, like it should fit in the grid. It should not be like this. It should be like this or maybe like this, but not so much large. Because the reason behind it is if you're working with objects or characters too large from your grid, it causes zooming issues. Like if you're trying to scroll through it, you're trying to zoom in and zoom out, sometimes you get glitches. So it's best to avoid that. Okay. So you can just scale it down and if the teeth bothers you, you can also hide the geometry of the teeth. Okay, I'll show you that. But first, we'll see how we can change the scene scale. Like by default, it is set to centimeters, and you want the character to look smaller, right? So in that case, like if I don't want to change the scale of the character, I want my scene to be a bit more larger. So in that case, we can just go to the preferences here. We can go to settings. Okay, and from here you can change your units. Okay, so you can set it to meters and you can see obviously the character is now so small, but it's not a problem because you can scale it up. Okay, and you can also experiment with others. Now, foot is the one which works the best. You can see it hasn't scaled it down too much. So you can change the scene scale like this, or if you don't want to change it at all, you can keep it in centimeters only. And what you can do is you can just scale the character down and hide the teeth. And if it doesn't bother you, then keep it visible, not a problem. Wait, let me see. Uh, you haven't changed the material of the ball yet, right? I'll suggest you to do that because I think it is still blin. It is not proper material. Like, yeah, but for that also it is a blin material. You should change that because it doesn't look right. Okay? Change the material. You're using Arnold, so apply any AI standard surface and then just control that because this the ball looks weird. Okay? And you should also increase the reflection amount in your scene. I think this is normal Lambert material. Then yeah, that also needs to be adjusted. Okay, you're using V-Ray. I thought you're using Arnold. Uh, you haven't adjusted uh, the what do I say? The materials. You haven't adjusted them. Like you're using default materials only. Uh, you're saying the black lines are disappearing. No, like it will have individual material for it. If you remember yesterday what we did, I selected the, let me show you. 1 second, let me grab the geometry of this character. So you can see like we selected the character and I right clicked and I went towards the end. So if you're working with a different rig, it still has two different materials. Or is it a texture? If it's a texture, then of course black line will disappear. But you can connect it. Now I need you to send me the file and send me the rig as well that you're using. I'll show you. Okay. Just now send me the file. Once we're done with this, I'll show you. Okay, all right, let's get back to this. So I want to make it smaller. So I'll do that, making it this small. All right. No, it won't change your mesh dimension. Mesh will remain same only. Are you asking about the units? Of course, if you change that, if your character is in centimeter, then it will be in foot, but the size of the character will not change. The scenes unit will change. Okay. So if you don't want to do that, just make it smaller. That's it. This is the most simple thing. Just make it smaller. Okay. All right. So now that we're done with that, let's do the jump. So this is a squirrel, right? Obviously, the jump, like we'll take it here, we'll bring it down, and we'll adjust the curve exactly like how we did for the ball character. But in this case, the jump will not be so high because this is like a more realistic character. Still looks very fantasy kind of a thing, but surely it is more close to realism compared to a ball. So obviously we don't want it to jump so high from here. We'll keep the height less. Okay. There's another thing that I want to show. If you go like this in front of it, you can see it doesn't sit on the grid properly. Now, you can definitely bring it down, but then what happens is when you're animating it, you'll have to then, like, you cannot type 0, you'll have to change the settings. So there are two ways of going about it. If you want to animate it in this way where translate y at the ground is 0, then what you can do is create a plane, okay, go to the front and keep it like this. Just make sure that it is right at your character's base. Okay. So that way, if I am putting it here and if I want to key it down, I can just zero it out and it will be flat on the surface. Okay. So either you can do this or what you can do is while you're adjusting, like you definitely want this to be flat on the ground, right? So basically, in the first frame, I'll keep it higher, and at 10th, I will make it fall down. So at 10th frame, basically, the 10th frame is our frame of impact. So I will bring it down here, make sure that it aligns with my main grid line, and I will press S. And then I'll go to the first frame and I'll move it up. So what happens? I still get the same thing. Good thing is that we won't be animating this base controller. Now you can see, like I'm using this big, large controller, which is supposed to be the root controller or the global controller. I'm using that for animation because this rig, like if you want to move the whole rig, you have to use this. This rig doesn't have a center controller like the ball control. This center controller is actually the tummy controller. See, if I use it, you can see the tummy is moving. Okay. So yeah, uh, you can do it like this or you can do it the other way, which I showed. So I'm just going with this one and I'll create a floor and put it into a layer and that's it. And I will hide the grid. So we have the basic animation. It's coming down like this. Obviously, we need to adjust the speed. So let's go there. Let's go to the graph editor. We'll do the same thing that we've been doing till now. And that is that we need to increase the speed at the impact, right? I'll break the tangent and I will make it steep at the point of impact. And at the top, if you want it to be slower, you can make it flatter. So now it just goes down like this. Okay. Now, if you want it to be, if you want it to come down a little bit faster, then you can definitely increase the height of it. Why? Because when we increase the height, the squirrel has to cover more distance in a short amount of time because I'm not changing the time here, right? At first frame, it's at the top, at 10th, it is at the bottom. So if I want it to be faster, I can change the position in the first frame. That will increase the distance my character will cover. So it will appear faster. Okay. But this is fine for me, so I'm not going to change anything. Okay. All right. So that is done. So now that we have the character on the ground, we have adjusted the speed. Now everything goes on to our squash and stretch controllers. You can see the character obviously looks rigid, right? And we cannot keep it rigid like this. We want it to react to things, right? Of course, it will squash and stretch. And it will not just squash and stretch because this is a character closer to reality. It will also move in and out. It will also go side to side. Rotation will also happen side to side. So we will be adding lots of different movements here, but we'll try to do it in a very simple way so that everyone can follow along. Okay, so let's start at the top, and I'm using just the top controller right now. I'm not using the base controller. We have to use both of them. Okay, but for now, I'm just using the top one. Okay, so when we go to the first frame where the squirrel starts to jump, we will keep it squashed. Okay. So basically, I'll try to show that the squirrel is basically jumping from somewhere. So the body is slightly squashed. So I'm just translating it down, keeping it very simple. Okay. Right now, I'm just going to be translating it in the y axis. Okay. So just keeping it a little squashed, not too much squashed, just slightly squashed. Okay. And I will press S to lock it here. Now, at the point of impact, what happens? Like, obviously, we want it to stretch out, right? Same thing. Like, here it should be stretched out. Now, usually with the ball, what happens? Like, at the point of impact, we squash it, and right before that, we stretch it out. But in this case, we are exaggerating the character, making it, trying to make it look more realistic, yet more funny and more exaggerated. We'll make it stretch out at the point of impact, and after that, we'll squash it. So, still the same things will happen, but there will be a delay. Okay. So what I'll do here is I will just stretch it out. So I just did two things here. I squashed it here, then I stretched it out. So if I play it right now, this is what happens. Okay. So it's looking like a drop, right? Very simple. Nothing else we have done. Now what we'll do, since the squirrel is stretched out, it also needs to squash down, right? So let me reduce the number of frames here so that we can focus on less frames. Okay, so here it is stretched out. We want to squash it back down. So let's do that. We'll do it in just a few frames and we won't be adding too many frames in between. Let's just keep around 4 frames. Okay. So I'll do it on 14th frame. We'll squash it down. So you can see it is stretched, then it is squashed. So if I hit play, it's like this. It is squashing. It is reacting to the impact. Okay. So the reaction is happening in a slight delay. Just 1 frame of a delay there is. So it is squashing. And of course, if it is squashed, then dampening will happen as well. Because the squirrel character has stopped moving. It just did one main movement here. It just jumped and it stopped. Now, like imagine you're jumping from a point. When you land, your body moves, right? We have covered this example previously as well. If you're landing, you go back and forth and you settle your body down in order to stop yourself from falling, isn't it? So same thing happens here. Like our body is like really stretched out and then it goes down and then we stand back up and then we wiggle around a little bit. Okay. And if you're not able to imagine this, then I will suggest everyone to try this, whoever is in a doubt. Just jump and see what happens to your body. Normally we don't notice these things, but uh, obviously when we're animating, we have to consider these things as well. Okay. So here it is stretched out, here it is squashed. Now it is squashed. I want to bring it back, right? So basically, I want to add a little bit of dampening here. So up, down, I'll make it go up again, this time lesser compared to the previous one. See, on the 10th frame, I made it go up. So it was too much. The second time, it's lesser. Okay, so here it's down, here it's up, then down again, and I'm reducing the intensity. Then up again, and one last time down. Very little. You can see I just moved zero point 0.2 in values. It was 1.6. Here it is 1.4. So just zero point 0.2. So if I hit play, you can see we have this. Now you can see that initially we have more of a jiggle and then it dies down. If I turn on the wireframe, you can see it much better. Okay. Now, if you want to make some adjustments to this, do it with the graph editor. So I have the controller selected. I'll go to translate Y and these are the uh, basically these are the keys that we need to adjust. So this is where it is stretched out. Here it is squashed. Now, if you want to, make it more intense, what you can do is you can like when again it stretches out, you can increase the amount of stretch. See, if I moved it in the viewport, it also affected the graph editor. Same thing I can do here as well. Same thing happens, right? So up, down, up, down, and it goes up again and down. So if I hit play, you can see it looks more wiggly, okay, more squishy, squashy, because I increase the intensity. So like this, you can control it. So if you don't like this much of intensity, then you're free to reduce it. So of course, the first squash and stretch will be very, very extreme. So you can see this is extremely stretched out. This is very much squashed out. The second time, if you don't like it being so much squishy, squashy, you can reduce the intensity. Okay, and adjust it according to how much you want. Okay, this one reduced a little too much. Let me increase it. And that's it. So if I hit play, okay, so something like this again, up, down, up, down. And okay, this one is very less. Let me increase it. So you can see down, up, and down. Now this last one should be less of a movement, so I am reducing it. See, whenever we are dampening any movement, the second last and last key should have very little amount of change. Why? Because we are killing a movement, right? Initially, the movement is very intense, but when we're trying to come to a stop, the second last to and the last keyframe should have less amount of change. Okay. And if you feel like you cannot finish it off completely in this, then you can go ahead and add another keyframe. So I feel like uh, I don't want to finish it off here. I want to add another one. I can do so. So we have to see what is happening. It was up here, down here, then up again, then down again. We can then go ahead and move it up once again. See how the height is changing? It's exactly like how we've done it in the viewport, right? So the height is changing. Okay. Yes, Sudhakar. Like dropping a jelly because jelly wiggles a lot, right? This like doing this type of motion is very easy. Now, when we have to do the exact same thing in a human, it will be more difficult because of how the spine works. We have so many different positions, how the spine rotates at. So it becomes complex. So if we start out from something like this, it's much more easier to work with later on. Okay. So just like this, you can control it. Okay. So I hope this is clear for everyone because we haven't done this type of up and down movement yet. So is it clear? I'm reducing the second last movement a little bit because it seems a little too much to me. Yeah, that's it. Okay, all right, good. Everyone is clear with this. That's good. So you can see it was very simple, just doing it up and down and making sure that slowly all the keys dies down, right? The movement dies down. So that is done. Now we've added only one movement here. We haven't broken something known as a symmetry. See, this is something which is very important in animation when you're working with any complex character. Anything apart from a ball is a complex character. Okay. So even this is a complex character. We have two sides here. And if we keep it straight like this, it doesn't look that nice, right? Because see, why we have to break the symmetry? See, breaking symmetry basically means it shouldn't look same on both the side. Maybe you can tilt it and that will break your symmetry. Why do we do this? Because in reality, we exactly move in that way. Whatever we do, it is very asymmetrical on both the sides. Like if we draw a line in like in our body throughout, you can see like both the sides are very identical, left and right. But not completely identical either. Like I'm sure many of you must have tried that Instagram filter where you get to see the mirrored face. You will see it looks so different, right? I'm sure many of you must have tried, and if you haven't tried, you might have seen it, uh, in reality as well. Like some people post this type of reels where they just apply that filter and they get to see the mirrored side of their faces. So it's never the same. Okay, it's always asymmetrical. You will never find someone's face which is perfectly symmetrical. So that's what I'm talking about, that things like these in reality are very, very asymmetrical. Okay. Both the sides are very, very different. That thing applies to the normal movements in life as well. So if you're landing down, you will see like you will be doing different things on both sides. Okay. Like if you're trying to land, you're jumping and you're trying to land, one foot might be closer to the ground compared to the other foot. Similar things you will see doing with your arms. Your body could also be rotated. Let's say your chest could be slightly tilted. So all of those things happen. Okay. So that's why it's important that we break symmetry in whatever animations that we do, because then it doesn't look that expressive, that believable. Obviously, we don't like this type of character doesn't exist in reality, right? What makes it believable is when certain things of reality actually gets involved. Okay, so let's do that. Guys, can you please avoid uh, like doing off topic things, because I'm also getting distracted checking the chat constantly. So if you have questions regarding this, you can ask, but please don't do the off topic things right now as I'm getting distracted. Okay. All right. So now that we have understood the reason behind asymmetry, we need to add it here as well. So we'll start out very simple. We'll do just rotation in the rotate Z axis. You can see the side to side axis. This is what we'll do. So initially, when the body is squashed here, I will do a slight tilt. So you can see symmetry is broken on the upper half of the body. And when it's going down, it is still broken. Why? Because see, whatever movement I added, I never pressed S. If I did, then what will happen? Let me show you. Like if at 10th frame, if I had pressed S and if I went ahead at the first frame and rotated it, you will see the rotation will go back to being straight. Why? Because then we'll have a key at 10th frame where the rotation is zeroed out, right? So intentionally, I didn't press S for all these keys. I just did it for the first one. Okay. So anyway, I will add a tilt here and I want to maintain that tilt like this. And when the squash and stretch happens, I want it to go to the other side. So till 10th, it is like this. I'll go to the 17th frame now and tilt it to the other side. Not extreme tilt, just a slight tilt. So you can see while the squash and stretch happens, it goes from the left side to the right side. Okay, like this. And then after that, you can continue moving it to the other side and then again to the other side. Let me undo and show it again, what I actually did. See, initially I went here and rotated the head or the upper controller towards the left side. Okay. And we had that rotation till the 10th frame. I actually increased it more in the 10th frame. Okay. So the rotation is actually increasing towards the left side on the 10th frame. Now I didn't go ahead in the 14th frame and directly did this. Why? Because it will be too fast. See, this is so fast, doesn't look good, right? So instead, what I want to do is I definitely want to tilt it back, but I will not do it in the 14th frame. Instead, I'll do it in the 17th. So I'll tilt it to the other side. Okay. And now it's going from one side to the other side like this. And this is a small amount of tilt. You can see I'm adding dampening in this as well. Here the movement was intense. Now I'm reducing the amount of movement. Okay. Now I'll go ahead and I want to tilt it again to the other side. I'm not going to do it at the next keyframe, which was at 20. I'll do it at 23. So I'll tilt it towards the left again. Okay. And we'll add one last final tilt at the 29th where we basically straighten it. So if we see the curve, this is rotate Z. See what is happening? Again, we have the dampening curve. It's up, it's down, it's up again, and it's down again. So it's just tilting side to side. Okay. I- If I turn on the controllers, you can actually see it. See, the tilt is more towards left. Here it is more towards right, then left again, and then it is centered. So if I hit play, you can see it is tilting side to side. Now, because we have reduced the translation completely at 29, we can actually go ahead and add one more rotation. So for that, we need to track what we did last. So let's go back to the 10th frame. I rotated it towards the left side, at 17th towards the right, then at 23 left again, then at 29 right again. I'll add one more where I'll switch it back to the left. So I'll extend it to 34. So you can see it takes a bit of time to go back. Okay. Doing very little amount of movement here. You can see if I go back and forth, you can see the difference. Very little amount of movement. Okay. So you can see it keeps on rotating side to side. Okay. Like this. I'm keeping it very simple. We add it in a very different way as well, but doing it in such a way so that everyone can follow along. Okay. Is this clear till here? Any confusions? Tell me, guys, any confusions? Okay. All right. Okay. So that tilt is done. You can see it is looking so much better compared to just translating it up and down, right? We added one more level of detail to the character. Now, see, when we're trying to land, we try to balance our body. So it tilts side to side as well. Okay. Not too much, just a small amount of tilt does happen. So that's something that we need to add. So at the first frame, there's no tilt. At the time of landing, since I have rotated the body this way, I will also tilt it towards the left direction. Okay, so the weight is now more towards the left and I need to bring it back. So at 17th frame, when the rotation is changing, I'll bring it back. Now I'm not zeroing it out. You can see this is the x-axis. Okay, I'm not going to zero it out completely. Instead, I'll give it a slight value. So it shifts from the left side to the right side. And then at 23, I'll just bring it to the center. So you can see I added very little amount of translation. Okay, so that added another level of detail. Okay, now let's do one more thing. We'll also go forward and backward, right? When we're trying to jump and balance our body also goes backward and forward. So at the time of landing, I want the body to be tilted back. So it's like this. And to increase the tilt, I'm also going to rotate it in this way. Now we haven't done two motions together. This time I'm doing two things together. So I tilted the body backward. I will also rotate it in this way. So the reason behind it is when you're trying to like land somewhere, your body like uh the lighter parts of your body are really upwards. So like when you're trying to land, the arms go really up. So that's why I'm doing this to show the same kind of behavior. It goes upwards and slightly backwards as well. So it's landing like this. Okay. And then at 17th frame, it should go forward and then at 23 backward again. So I haven't changed the rotation after 10th frame, but just see the translation. You can see backward and forward. Now, if you want, you can increase this amount. So you can see at 10th, I pushed it back. At 17th, I pushed it forward. At 23, I made it back again. And at 29th, we can move it forward once more. So you can see it goes backward and forward as well. Okay. Yes, air drag. Okay. So it goes backward and forward. Now I had also rotated it in rotate X axis. So you can just go ahead and bring it back down. You don't have to do up and down in this. Therefore, like if you want, you can definitely do up and down, but it won't cause any problem if you don't do it. Okay. So you can see now it is more jiggly in all the axes. Okay. The rest in the next class. Okay. Any doubts in this? Any questions? Anything which you don't understand, please type. Yes, Sudhakar, ask. Yes, Soham, you have to render them separately. We also have batch render options, but uh, like I haven't worked in the rendering department that much, so I'm not aware of too much of the batch rendering thing. You can actually YouTube it if you want. Okay. Otherwise, if it's too complex for you, just render them separately. That will be much better. Otherwise, you can do the batch rendering. Just search on YouTube, you'll find it. Okay. Also, try using Chat GPT for such things because it is really helpful in these scenarios. When you're trying to look for a particular control, just use Chat GPT. like whatever attribute or anything that you're trying to do, it helps because it has read the full documentation. So you can just find those things much more in a much more easier manner. Okay. Yes, Upanraj, auto key only keys the channel which you're changing. So if you want to key everything, you have to press S. Okay. Okay. Sudhakar, landing and squash and stretch is happening in the same frame. Where? Stretch is happening here, squash is happening after that. So there is an offset. I haven't done it in the same frame. So I'm not sure what you're saying. Stretch happened at 10th. No, even the keys also, you can see keys are separate only, no? The stretch key is at 10th, the squash key is at 14th. So that's what I have done. Okay, 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 you were confused by something else. Okay, no problem. It's okay. See, the delay that I added it in the tummy controller. So I knew it could be confusing. So because we've covered this much, so that's why I deleted it because we'll do it again tomorrow. Okay. I'll also delete it before sending the recording because many of you will attempt it and it can be confusing. So I'll delete that section before sending the recording. So just focus on this. Okay. All right. And just try to do it in the same way I have done. Just start with simple translation. And before you start animating in other accesses, other channels, just show me the simple translate Y movement first. So if you're making any mistake in it, I will let you know. Because if you don't show me at that point, and if you all have made some mistake in the translate Y, then whatever uh, rotations and translations you add on top of it, they will also just go to waste, right? Because your base movement will not be right. So just show me once you're done with the main translate, and then you can proceed to add other things. Okay. All right. I feel like the rotation here in my squirrel is a little too much. I'll show you how you can refine such things as well. So good thing that it's a little too much here. I'll cover this part in the next class, okay? Like how we can correct these things. I've already shown how to do so before also, but since this is a complex character, I will show it again. All right. So please just do simple translate Y movement first and show it to me, and then you can proceed to do other axis animation. Okay. Any questions? Any other questions? Any doubts? Anything which sounded confusing to you, please, please definitely type here. I will let you know. No doubts? All right. Okay then, guys. I'll assume everyone understands. Yes, so I'll check your file. Okay, let me stop the recording.